your serious one.
Yeah.
So joining you live from the World Championship 2023 in Barcelona, the Living Legend podcast.
Welcome, everybody, to yet another episode of the Living Legends podcast. And today, we've been alluding to it for a long time, but you've probably already seen it in the title of the video or the title of the podcast, wherever you're listening to us from. This is going to be our top 5 Part the Mistveil cards, which at this point feels like an eternity ago. There's been so much that's happened between now and then. We're finally getting a chance to talk about it, and I'm pretty excited. And it's not just going to be me, as you know, or maybe you might not know if this is your first time listening. If so, welcome. But I'm joined by my 2 lovely co-hosts. We'll start alphabetically with Az. Welcome.
Cheers, mate. Yeah, looking forward to this. You know, as we discussed, you know, and what you've just said there, it's been a long time coming for this list. I think we've put it off maybe twice, 3 times now.
Something like that, yeah.
Something like that. Because we've had a few cool episodes, a lot of stuff coming out for Flesh and Blood at the moment, which is nice. But yeah, we're going to be breaking down our top 5 cards. I've got a couple of honourable mentions as well, because I couldn't fit all the cards in my list, because there were a few really good ones that I thought I'd mention, but also some cool ones as well. So I'll try and skim through those also. But yeah, it should be fun. And have Kel as well.
Oh yeah, hi. I'm here too. Hello. I have a bunch of assassin cards to talk about today, and 1 non-assassin card. So it should be fun. I think it's funny. Bill mentioned how things have, you know, changed since the set came out, and we've run the full gambit of Flesh and Blood discourse, because a week or so ago, Zen was like the boogeyman, the deck to beat, and then now the past week, New is the hero that won all of the things. So, like, just goes to show it. Like I said, it's Flesh and Blood, man. Like, you'll have one hero win a bunch, and then everyone's like, ban it. And then the next week, another hero will win a bunch, and they're like, ban it. I can't wait till they. This is a shout out to Kale, or Dead Summer Art, who mentioned this, and I commented on his Twitter post, and he was like, yeah, just next week we'll have to ban Lena Bell and her sightless potion or something, and I'm like, yeah, ban it.
Send it.
Yeah. So
yeah, I think I saw that there's been a couple of things on Twitter about who was leading the points, like, you know, this week for the second week. It was the second week or third week of Nationals at the moment, and New is at the top this time, whereas it was Zen last time. So it's interesting to see how that sort of shifts around, as you know, as we've seen it. But yeah, very much so.
Aggro decks, easiest decks to build when a new meta comes out. Any card game, Zen is as aggro as you can get. Just slap all the 0 cost go again crap together and all the Zen BS, and then once once time has had all the chefs can cook a little bit, then you have the decks that are a little bit more intricate, like New and maybe even Enigma. So yeah, well, we're going to talk about some of those cards today, because this set's kind of cracked.
Yeah, I was very surprised, because I seem to recall when we were first talking about MST that of the 3 heroes, I felt that New was potentially the weakest, although they had cards that were individually just completely cracked in half. I was like, this card seems ridiculous. This card seems ridiculous. But then there was so much discourse about Enigma being super broken and like really unfun to play against is what I heard, like, a lot within. It was maybe even a little bit before the set had officially properly come out. And then, once the set actually came out and people were playing with it, people are like, oh, Zen is busted. Zen is like completely cracked in half. He's too strong. And now that it's swung again to New, I think that is kind of interesting. It shows that all 3 heroes are actually designed in a very cohesive way. To me, kind of implies that the Mystic talent is maybe very good.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. This is Tales of Aria 2. It is. Yeah. All 3 heroes are really, really good, and they will all be really, really good at some point. And I have a feeling they will all hit Living Legend at some point. I think the set is just cracked.
I think so too, and there's a lot of credence to what you were saying as well. That like in the in the wake of a new set releasing. The aggro decks are the easiest ones because control decks or combo decks or anything that sort of shies away from aggro, or at least falls on a different end of the spectrum than aggro does. They are the easiest decks because they are just fast. They're easy to play. They kind of play themselves, and they prey on people who don't know how to tech against them correctly. And for anybody, this the thing that I'm going to reference here is now very old and will likely date me in terms of playing card games or anything in general. But if anybody played Hearthstone, whenever a new set came out, Face Hunter was the best deck because it was just play efficient things that go face, completely disregard what your opponent's doing. It
didn't hurt that the Hunter hero ability is just like 2 damage to face, and you just put everything with like haste and just smash. Yeah. Yeah,
it's the epitome of I don't care what you're doing.
Oh, dude. I remember before I got a full rework, there was that card that summoned like a 1/1 with whatever the equivalent of haste is in the game, for everything that your opponent had, and then you would pump them up to like OTK your opponent. I think they fundamentally changed the way that card worked. It was like Pack Hunt or something like that. I don't remember what it's called exactly.
I think it was Release the Hounds.
Oh yeah, Release the Hounds. Yep.
Release the Hounds. There was also I'm not going to talk about Hearthstone this whole time. Obviously, we have cards to talk about. But just to wrap it all together, there was also the issue that was Force of Nature and Savage Roar in Druid.
Yeah.
Which meant that aggro Druid was just really good because again, it had I think the keyword is charge.
Charge. Yeah.
I was
gonna call it Storm, but that's Shadowverse.
Yeah. But yeah, like the aggro decks are the easiest ones. But then as the meta sort of settles and people figure out how to play the decks and what cards to play against those heroes, they sort of fall out of favor, but they're always kind of there. So like Zen, I don't think is never going to be like gone because sometimes you just high roll. Sometimes it's like Kano where you're just like, hey, kill you. But yeah, I find it really interesting that now it's too strong, ban it discussion has shifted once again.
But yeah, well, just to sort of touch on those 3 heroes again, we speak about the trifecta quite a lot, and they all quite go around in that circle. So Zen's obviously good at beating Enigma because obviously just the raw numbers are coming through. She can't deal with it. Enigma's good at beating Nu because Nu can't really get through the ward.
With some exceptions. There's the pick to pieces is very good.
Extreme.
Yeah, there's little bits for each hero that can work still, and sort of shore it up a little bit. And then obviously you've got Enigma is good against Nu, and then Nu is good against Zen to a certain degree because of the interaction. So that still exists as well. That sort of go round the circle situation, which is probably what we're seeing now as more people figuring out how to interact with the insane aggro. And unfortunately, Zen does have access to the ridiculous Art of War turns, or the fact that he can banish tigers from hand because of the combo pieces he's got on board. But we're starting to figure it out now. It looks so. We'll see where it goes from here and lead up to Amsterdam.
Yeah, and before we get on to more Flesh and Blood stuff, I just want to give Hearthstone players a little bit of PTSD and say Leroy Jenkins, Shadow Step, Leroy Jenkins. All right, that's it. We'll go.
Oh, Rogue. Rogue is the way.
Oh, I played. I think I mentioned this before, but I was like top 100 North America for a good chunk of time for that, and I played almost exclusively Tempo Rogue. And I think I got to that point, and I think I had like a 72 and like 3 win-loss ratio. The only deck that could beat me was a Control Druid. The Healing Touch, the 3-cost heal 8, was brutal for my deck. Like whatever, like I just lost all my momentum and I'd gas out. But I have a. If you go dig, hard enough, you can go find my old records. My account name is Villain, VILLON, and you can go find. I did like a Tempo Rogue deck guide back in the day. This is back when there was no. It was I think 5-star Grandmaster was the highest rank you could get. This is before the current rating system. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, Leroy Jenkins, Shadow Step Leroy. Let's go. 12 to the face, buddy. Eat it.
Oh, but anyway, let's now talk about Flesh and Blood, specifically part the Mistveil.
12 to the face, buddy. Eat
it. That's basically Zen, except the numbers are bigger. But Yeah, so like I said at the beginning of at the top of the program, we're going to be talking about our top 5 picks for Flesh and Blood, for specifically part of the Mistveil. And these, as always, are cards that we're not necessarily saying these are the strongest. I think, like, just because of how these cards are, some of them just happen to be some of the strongest cards in the set, maybe the strongest cards in the set. But as always, this list is just cards that resonate with us, or that cards that we like. So it could be anything and anything in between that. And starting off with a bit of a banger, in my opinion, we have the legendary Mystic headpiece, Traverse the Universe.
Oh yeah, let me go pull that up.
So for our audio listeners, while Kel brings up the picture for the viewers, for those of you who don't know what Traverse the Universe does, I envy you, because this card is very strong. But yes, this is a legendary Mystic headpiece with Blade Break 2. And it says, when this defends, search your deck for an inner chi, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle. I still think that the design of this card is extremely deceptive, in that, especially right away, it was like, oh, okay, you're searching for a card, whatever. But the way that inner chi functions within Mystic decks, this is essentially Crown of Providence without the technical like downside, because you're usually card negative when you're going Crown of Providence, but that's for the filtering. You're specifically looking for the filtering effect. It's extremely defensive in that you could use this to pitch into I forget what the name of the defense reaction is, but it's the 3-cost block 5 if you pitched a chi for a draw card. That's a really good use for this as well, just to go on defensive. And it's also something that helps you become hyper aggressive. Like with Zen, you can pitch the inner chi that you block with this on your next turn to activate his hero ability to search for any card with combo in your deck. That means that this is block. This is like on block. Search for any card in your deck.
Yeah,
and
so
put it into your hand.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. This is not. This is not really a 2-block get a chi. This is like a 2-block get any card with combo and create a Crouching Tiger in your hand. Like it's kind of gross. Or if you're playing like new, you can do the whole like new thing. Or if you're playing with Enigma, you can get a Spectral Shield. But yeah, it's wild. And like even outside of that, if you're not using the inner chi specifically for Mystic stuff, this can also just help unbrick a hand if you need to be a little bit defensive on a turn. Because if you go down to like a 1-card hand and you have like, let's say your last card is Command and Conquer, then you block with this, you get a blue to your hand. You can play the Command and Conquer now instead of doing nothing on your turn. Like that is a good. It's just really good.
Like so many things you can do.
It actually helps you get out of nothing too. So like if you have no cards in hand but like something good in arsenal, you can full block like with your entire hand and then block with this as well, and then you can get your chi and then play the card from your arsenal. So you still have, or if you have a weapon or something, a good weapon. So like I don't know, this is sweet. That's good.
Yeah. I want to throw in there as well. Obviously, the downside to this card is that you need an inner chi. And you might not have an inner chi to be able to do it when you need to block with it. But ultimately, you don't care about that because you're pretty much going to have an inner chi a lot of the time. And one of my sort of honourable mentions that goes into this is all of the chi cards that don't target anything. Because though all those chi cards that don't have to target anything to be active are pretty good. Things like Stir the Pot, things like Homage to Ancestors, stuff that just has an effect that you can then stack onto another blue card to make sure you transcend to get that energy into your deck. All of those cards are pretty sick. Things like Path to Ancestry. I think Path to Ancestors, one that gives Go Again. It has to target an attack, or it has to...
Path Well Traveled.
Yeah. Path Well Traveled.
Yeah, that does Go Again. And then there's the +1, the Grain that tips the scale. Both really good, but you need a target, Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. So I just wanted to mention those as well because they're pretty good for getting those inner chis into your deck, which ultimately fuel this ridiculous card on Bill's list. So I just thought I'd chuck those in there as well.
I'm a big fan of Rising Sun, Setting Moon. That's the Sink Below one. And then there's the Passover, which is absolutely cracked and new, which is my favorite hero. And it just banishes a card from their graveyard, so then you can play it with new, which is just super good.
Yeah. All those chi cards, very good.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very, very surprising considering how how weak the individual effects seem, but the fact that they just flip into a blue,
they're like
helps activate additional effects within your deck is not to be understated.
The way I think about them is they're not just their front effect. They're their front effect plus your hero ability. Like that's the way I thought about them when I played a lot of Limited in Japan, and now that I'm slowly playing them in Constructed, that's the way I think about it. For new, it's like, you know, this is a card that does, like, you know, banishes a card, but also lets me activate her ability on the same turn, or like, you know, whatever else I need to do, you know, dagger plus a 1-drop or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, Traverse.
Good stuff.
It's good.
Yeah, but after this, I will kick it. Let's go reverse alphabetical order. Let's kick it over to Kel. What is your first pick?
Okay, this is actually a really good segue, because as powerful as Traverse the Universe is, you don't run it in New, because New has her own absolutely insane hat. And so that's going to be my first pick. First of all, it's a reference to my favorite card of all time, Recurring Nightmare from Magic the Gathering. I love it so much, and
it's almost like it was made for you. This card is like, it's an assassin card with Recurring Nightmares on the card title.
Yep, and Iswardi Therianto, shout out to Iswardi doing the artwork. This card is awesome. He noted, someone said something like, oh, what are the 2 girls in the picture, and his only response was 2 girls. So I think it's just like one horrible monster, like, that has like 2 ladies on it. Anyway, Mass Recurring Nightmares.
Oh,
yeah, it's a nightmare. It's supposed to be a nightmare. It's not a happy thing that's going on here. So it's a Mystic Assassin equipment headpiece. It blocks for 2, has Blade Break, and it has an effect that you can do over and over again, which is crazy. So this is a once per turn attack reaction for 3 chi resources. Target defending hero banishes a card from their hand. Period. There's nothing else. There's no other stipulations as long as you have the chi. And like I said, I now think of the chi cards as like, you get their front effect, but then you also get your hero ability or something like Mask of Recurring Nightmare. So every single time you flip a chi, you can rip a card from your opponent's hand. Well, banish it, which is even better because it synergizes with New's hero ability. This card is cracked. This is like the Coronet Peak on steroids. Like, it's so good. It's so much better than Coronet Peak. Well, I don't want to say better. Different. It's different. But the fact that you can do it as an attack reaction is crazy. Because it also, like, you know, pumps up your number of attack reactions, because there's a lot of cards now that care about, like, if you've done 2 attack reactions, get a bunch of bonus effects or whatever. So this also counts for that. Card's great. I love this card. Every way.
Yeah.
I went and bought a extended art cold foil version of this for my new deck. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. It's like it's also it counters New's weakness as well, with the fact that, you know, her ability only cares about blue cards, right? So if you're facing an opponent that you can't really use their blue pile, for instance, you can use your inner cheese to fuel the mask instead. So she has a backup plan. If they don't have many blues because you're not banishing them with her chi ability, you can use this instead late game to then really just, you know, take control over the game with those banished cards from hand. So it also super punishes really greedy decks that want to keep their hands. And exactly. Yeah, it's just great. Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
The obvious counter to this would just be to block with all of your things, so she can't make you banish it. But if you're doing that, then all your cards are gone. So either way, New's pretty happy with what you're doing. Yeah. So that's my first pick. I love this card.
I love the design of this card because it, again, feels... It's the type of design that I've talked about time and time again, where it feels like it has an impact on the game, even if you don't do anything with it, because it will cause your opponent to block in a very specific way, because it's like, oh, well, I'll just give you these 3 cards and I'll keep this one in my hand. And you're like, okay, attack reaction, take it. Like it's gone.
Oh, there's some...
It can't do that.
Oh, there's some really disgusting lines you can do with New if your opponent's not paying attention. Like, you're attacking in with something, what is it called? Justin Nick? No, not that one. Yeah. The other one, I have it. It's the one that has the pretty the pretty succubus lady, but not persuasive prognosis. The other one, where if you've played 2
Bonds of Agony.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's one. If you play 2, it gets like a crazy. You know, why am I playing on my real cards? I actually have the list just here. I could just pull up the actual the card. Yeah, Bonds of Agony. So for everyone who like me who doesn't remember exactly, it's a 0-drop stealth card, 1 attack, 3 block, but you don't care about the block. Well, maybe a little bit, but if you've played or activated 3 or more attack reactions as chain link, this gets +4, and when it hits a hero, look at their hand and choose a card, search their hand, deck, and graveyard, and banish up to 3 cards with the same name as the chosen card. So if you get Bonds of Agony into multiple attack reactions, including the Recurring Nightmares, that's 1 card from their hand from Recurring Nightmares, and another card from their hand and deck, and everything with Bonds of Agony, making it into like a 4 attack. And you've done other attack reactions, so it's probably also huge. So if you've done like just the Nick as well, maybe I'll talk about that a little bit. This is disgusting. That's why I love New so much. She can just do like disgusting crap out of nowhere, and just rip your whole opponent's whole hand. If they're not paying attention, they're just like, oh, I guess I don't have a hand anymore.
Yeah.
So sick. I think that appears on your list as well at some point, this card.
Yeah, I mean, like, spoilers. Going to be talking about a lot of assassin cards on my turn.
You're going to be talking about a lot of assassin cards.
Anyway, that's my turn.
Yeah.
Az, how about you?
Yeah. Cool. So I'm coming in with the first generic on our lists today, and that is a card called Prismatic Leyline.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually recently bought 3 of these from Jim from FABTCG Cards. You should go and check him out if you're looking for North American singles. Yeah, I just absolutely love this card. It's a yellow pitch, 0 cost generic action, which blocks for 3, so it can be ran in any deck. But I'm thinking about it in Riptide specifically. I'm going to be playing Riptide as well in the league that means nothing season 2. So shying away from Azalea, going to be playing Riptide, but I think this is pretty good in Riptide, and I got to cast a lot of it at UK Nationals as well and see this card in action, so I think it's very, very good. It says your next red attack gets +1, your next yellow attack gets +2, your next blue attack gets +3, and then go again. So the sick thing about this in Riptide and just ranges in general is, first of all, it makes all of your bolt and shots essentially attack for 5. So if you play multiple bolt and shots of on your turn, they all attack for 5 because, red gets +1, yellow gets +2, etc. So that's pretty good. And it also makes Riptide's big blue card, Intoxicating Shot, a 0 for 7 if you play it in front of this, or after this, sorry, as well. So Riptide has, I think that's a fantastic blue that Riptide has, is Intoxicating Shot. Just does a load of damage. Obviously, if it hits as well, they get the tokens, which you don't care about because it turns on his traps anyway. So yeah, I think it's just really, really good in Riptide. Plus, it's your typical yellow 3 block, which can activate things like Death Dealer, still draw you a card, still have 1 floating. A lot of Riptides are using Death Dealer at the moment just because it's gas. So yeah, I just think this is a great card. I'm not sure whether it really has it. Implications in Azalea, really, because she cares about the red, like lace widths and all the other red cards rather than yellows. But there is an argument to be made for it. But yeah, just think it's great, and I'm going to be using it in Riptide recently, which I'm going to be playing a little bit more of, just to sort of spice up my Ranger pool. And yeah, so Prismatic Leyline's my first pick of the day.
Yeah, it's a cool card.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those cards that if you are playing, especially like blues in addition to reds, I think this is a card that you can maybe consider for your deck. I actually think it's not a terrible pick for Assassin, because Assassin runs a lot of like blue attacks as well as red attacks. It's like you run like half and half almost. Not a lot of yellows, but you can still get like a +4 value out of this thing, which is like 0 for +4 is like pretty good. So I don't know. Yeah, it's a cool card.
So yeah, what's that?
I completely agree. It's one of those cards where you first look at it and you're like, I want to build around this.
Yeah.
It's +6 in it's just a +6 buff
if
you're able to play around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can get them all, that's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, even like a 0, we know what a 0 for 4 is good. If you can get a red and a blue off, which you can in Riptide a lot. Or if you can get a 1 and a 2 off, it's a 0 for 3, but then spread among multiple attacks. It might have other on hits. It's just one of those sort of cascading effects. If you can get more than one mode, you get a lot of value out of it.
Oh,
basically.
you know what? Probably not good enough, but like in Guardians, I wonder if this is any good because running a lot of reds and blues as well. You turn your like blue 7s into blue 10s, or your blue 5s into blue 8s. I don't know. It's not bad.
Possibly, yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's, I mean, it's a generic card as well, right? So in the future, if that matters, having multiple colors in your deck, this could be this could fit into that as well. So it's just like potentially could be an everlasting card, which is just going to be good. This is one of what your color composition is.
This is one of the reasons why I think that this is kind of like their Tales of Aria 2, in that this card blocks 3 as well. Like they didn't make it a block 2. They just made it like as good as it can possibly be without it making it a blue 2. Because it's a yellow pitch as well. It's like a yellow block 3. So I think the cost of inclusion isn't super high. So
exactly. So
it's cool.
Yeah,
good
absolutely. All right. Well, then that brings it back to me, and keeping in with the I don't know. I like talking about Zen personally. I have liked talking about Zen for a long time. And what better way to talk about Zen than to mention and to highlight an just insane piece of equipment again. Obviously, we have Traverse the Universe, and that is like really good. It's good in multiple heroes, though. This one you can only play in Zen, and it's his chest piece, the 12-Petal Kasaya. So this one is a legendary Mystic Ninja equipment. It has Blade Break 2. It also has instant for 3 chi resources. Destroy this. Create a Zen State Token, which is like not an irrelevant effect for this card to have. But the main thing, because chest pieces usually either make resources or cheat resources in some way, this one has a pretty crazy one. Whenever you transcend, you may gain one resource, one red resource, not a chi resource, but and in conjunction with his hero ability, this card is nuts. This is like it helps you to make the lines that he has access to so much easier, so much more flexible. Because even just with my limited in-person play experience, being able to activate his hero ability to get like Chase the Tail, which costs 1, you get Crouching Tiger in your hand 2. This then pays for the Chase the Tail, so Chase the Tail becomes free. You could also do it with, any other card with combo to make it cost 1 less if you're using more expensive ones. If you wanted to be really spicy and you had like Cyclone Roundhouse in your deck, you could pay for it with this. You could this can make you multiple resources in a single turn, something like Tunic can't even do, because it is very frequent that you're able to go transcend card, hold priority, transcend card, transcend both, get 2 resources, and then the rest of your turn that can pay for your Tiger Taming Kakara and something else. It can pay for your Art of War. It can pay for so much.
Dude, free Art of War is like nuts. You can go get a free 2 for 7. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the 2 for 7.
I can't remember what that card is, but yeah, you can get it opens up your play lines so well. And the fact again that it's also like an insane defensive option by creating a Zen State Token, which is this is the least amount of hoops that Ninja has ever had to jump through to get a Zen State Token.
It's actually crazy because you can block with this, and then before the combat chain closes, before it's destroyed to Blade Break, you can activate the instant effect. So you can you can do both.
You can do both. This card, it is hyper offensive and also hyper defensive, I would say. It is just very good at everything that it does. The art is also phenomenal. Shout out Billy Christian, Livia Prima's partner, I believe.
Yep.
And
he's a really nice dude.
Fantastic artist as well. I'm a big fan of everything that he does, including this. He also did the art for Singularity, which I was also extremely impressed with. So he
did one of the Archangels as well, like the flip side. Yeah, good stuff. Was it Soraya? No, not Soraya. The War one, the Archangel of War, whichever one that was.
Yes. Yeah, Bologna. But yeah, anyway, so that's my second pick, 12 Petal Kasaya. I know it kind of feels like a gimme to pick legendaries, but these are just somebody was going to, right?
The actual gimme would be like the heroes. Like I didn't pick new because like duh, like of course. So fun fact.
Another thing.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying, just another thing mechanically about this card is that a lot of people think, oh yeah, whenever you transcend, you get a resource. You know, that's great. You know, that sort of thing. But the Zen State Token is actually extremely good if you're facing a mirror match, another Zen, or another aggro deck. If you get that Zen State Token off, it sticks around for 2 turns because you generate it on one turn, then it comes back round to your other turn, you remove a balance counter from it, and it sticks around again. So that can soak up so much damage if you're facing a go wide deck. It can I think I remember casting a UK Nats game where a Zen State Token was out for 2 turns and it soaked up about 10 to 15 damage. So in those sorts of mirror matches where you are facing a lot of wide attacks, getting that Zen State, on a turn where, when they've arsenaled a card or whatever, you crack it. If you time it right, you can actually soak up quite a lot of damage. So yeah, it's definitely worth looking at that Zen State, in that regard a lot more.
For the audio only listeners, just in case you don't know what a Zen State Token is, because I wouldn't blame you.
Yes, please.
It's a ninja token aura. It enters the arena with a balance counter. At the beginning of your action phase, destroy this unless you remove a balance counter. If you would be dealt damage, prevent 1 of that damage. So basically reduces all the damage you take by 1. It's really good.
Over two opponents' turn cycles. So you play the card. Comes in with a balance counter. Then on your opponent's turn, they throw their hand at you, which could be soaking up. Each time you dealt damage, soaking up 1 of it. Then it comes back around to your turn. You remove the balance counter, but you still have the Zen State Token. Then your opponent takes a turn. They throw another hand at you. You're going to soak up more damage. And then when it comes back around to you again, that's when you get rid of it. So you're getting 2 turns of value out of it, basically, which is great against, facing another aggro deck, which is just going to go wide and do lots of little points of damage here and there. I
have a rules question. So what I said before about you can do both, like you can block and destroy it, is true, because it says Blade Break, it's when the combat chain closes, not when that specific chain link. So if they continue the combat chain, you can still destroy it before it's actually destroyed. But my question is to judges out there, I know you likely can't block and sack it to prevent the damage on the same attack. I don't think you can do that, but do you have a window of opportunity when your opponent says, I close the combat chain? Do you have the opportunity to destroy this when they do that? That's my big question. I don't actually know the timing rules for that, if you have priority or not. I play so many card games. In some games, it would be yes, 100%. In other games, like Flesh and Blood, who the hell knows? Yeah.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Joshua Scott, if you're watching this, is there a window of opportunity that the opposing player has when the active player chooses to close their combat chain? Like, does your opponent get like a priority window? Anyway, just curious. Yeah. But if they continue their chain, like a ninja would, for example, then you could crack this on the second attack for sure.
I think it's crazy that like it's really good against rune blades as well, obviously, because it just eats rune chant tokens. It's just Zen State tokens have always been like a basically kind of like free win, kind of against
gives you like 2 time walks against like the OTK Viscera kind of thing, right? They literally can't attack you for like 2 whole turns. That's pretty good.
It's actually kind of insane. But yeah, I'm a big fan of that. I'm also a big fan of, like you're saying, against the mirror match against other Zens. It's pretty frequent for a Zen to go like 10 wide, I want to say. Like we've seen some pretty crazy combat chains that may just be high rolling, but
honestly, it's so good against a lot of other classes too. It's good against Illusionists because they have a lot of like little chip damage here. That's good against Assassin because a lot of their pre-buffed threats are like little dinky 1-attack blue cards these days, like from new. So you're just like, whatever, I don't know. It's good.
So it's a very, very impressive card with a lot of utility.
It's also the legendary I've opened up the most. I've opened up like 3 or 4 of these. I sold Bill my extended art one.
Yeah, one of them was this one.
Yeah, that's the extended art pull flow one.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, I kept one. I still have one of like the 4 that I opened. Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, let's move on to Kel's.
Pick. Hold on, let me see what I picked for my second pick. I have to pull up my.
These aren't in any particular order as well, right?
No.
Yeah.
Scroll past these dogs.
I think they're in like order that you find them on Fabrary.
I'm just going to the order that I put them in because it's like, you know. And also, by the way, every time I'm looking on this, for everyone watching the video version, I have to scroll past these dog pictures in our Discord chat, which is so good, so good. You probably can't see it very well, but there's a Chihuahua standing inside 4 hamburgers, and then the other one is just a painting of this dog eating a taco, and it's like the best thing ever. In case you wanted to know what the vibes are in the Living Legends podcast Discord chat, that's what we got rolling on. Okay, so my card is... Oh, yeah, this is a good one. Sirens Call. All right, let me go...
Oh, yeah.
Let me go find Sirens Call. First of all, beautiful, beautiful artwork. This is the playmat that I was not able to get for myself at the Mistveil World Premiere event, because this was the only playmat that was sold out when I got there. I was pretty bummed. It was beautiful. So this card is Mystic Assassin attack reaction. It blocks for 3. Costs 1 and is a red pitch card. So with all that said, it's probably going to have a good effect. Turns out it does. Look at the defending hero's hand and choose a blue card. Add it to this chain link as a defending card. If you do, draw a card. I love this. You're seeing a theme here. My theme is rip cards out of your opponent's hand. What's great about this card is you can make like more or less illegal blocks with this. So you can take like a card that has 0 block or something and force it to block this. You can make them block with their Eye of Ophidia or their, chi card or whatever, or any other card. But once you do, it is a blocking card. So that's the thing to note here. Like if you choose like a card that has it's a blue card that blocks 3, that card is now also blocking for 3. Like, so you have to keep that in mind. The reason you would want to do this is 1, you get to rip a card out of your opponent's hand. This card also replaces itself, which is just insane. And due to News Hero effect, you get to banish that card because it is a blue card, which could then, further her hero ability. I really like this card for multiple reasons. 1, you get to look at your opponent's hand. 2, you get to take a card out of it. And even if you don't take a card out of it, Sirens Call still replaces itself. You still get to draw a card. I'm sorry, it doesn't. You don't get to draw a card if you do that. I'm sorry. Take that back. The last thing I said, take it back. You only get to draw a card if you do that. So you can whiff.
If it's blue, yeah.
Yeah, you can whiff. You can whiff. But still, this card's great. And if worse comes to worse, you just block with it. It's a 3 block. Yeah. I like it. I like any card that lets me rip cards out of my opponent's hand. And the fact that it lets me look at my opponent's hand is also very good, especially when you combine it with other cards that I really, really like Censor. So you can do like a Censor thing. So like you can activate Sirens Call on a Censor. You don't have to, like some assassin cards, you don't have to attack react onto an assassin card. You can attack react onto a, generic or whatever. So you can be attacking with Censor, activate this, look at their hand, and then you can pick the card that's in their hand that you don't want them to play with Censor. So yeah, it's good. Looking at their hand is good.
It's gone.
Oh, okay, yeah. I was just gonna say, I'm a big fan of. Oh man, I'm blanking. What's the Pulse Wave Harpoon? There we go. I'm a big fan of Pulse Wave Harpoon, like disruptive effects that allow you to interact with your opponent's hand. I think that they are extremely powerful in that this also just gives you the information, like just at base. Knowing what your opponent's hand is great. I know there was a generic card from a couple sets ago that we were kind of confused about. It's a joke card that I think it has the, like, if you've played this from your arsenal, draw a card text and then look at your opponent's hand.
Scour the battlescape or something like that.
Yeah, I can't quite recall what it was, but like this is the good part of that stapled onto a pulse wave harpoon for assassins, like a thematic pulse wave harpoon.
It's also just an attack reaction, right? So it adds on to your number of attack reactions, and like it just potentially rips a card out of their hand and then draws you a card. Like
and then with New's ability, if it's an action card, you just banish it and you get to play it later. It works. Everything works really harmoniously with this card. I think it's really cool.
Yep.
There's another off the back of that as well. There is another honorable mention that I have in my list, which is an assassin card which acts similar to this. And I just think this card is very underrated, and that's Intimate Inducement. So it's a Mystic Assassin attack reaction, blocks for 3, costs nothing to play, comes in all pitch values. It just says target assassin or Mystic attack action card gets +1. But then depending on whether it's red, yellow, or blue, it says look at the top 4 cards, 3 cards, or 2 cards of the defending hero's deck and choose a card. If it's blue, it then just has 0 base defense. So if it's a blue block 3, it just has 0 defense now. And then you add it to the chain link as a defending card. I just think that card is, I don't know, people would have probably already figured it out now, whether this goes in new decks or not, but I just think the design space of this is really, really nice because it gives you the +1 straight away for nothing, and then it gives you the information on your opponent's next turn cycle because it gives you all 4 cards of what they're going to draw next turn, plus you can rip away their best card or their resource card being the blue, add it to your hat, add it to the chain link, banish it because of New's ability, and then you're taking away whatever that blue card is that you can play on from your new stuff. Plus, you get to see what their next turn is because you've looked at the top 4 cards. So I'm speaking mainly about the red one. The yellow one and the blue one probably aren't as good, but I think the red one is pretty sick.
I actually like the blue one. I actually like the blue one the most because.
Do you?
Well, for the red slots, you have a lot of competition, right? A lot of people I see are cutting cards that are really, really good. Like I see some people not even running all of their E-strikes, or sometimes people are cutting like some people. Not everyone's running Censor, which they should be. Censor's awesome, but being a blue is really good because it counts as playing a blue card, and so you can do that to transcend. You can pitch it because you really like resource heavy. You only get to look at the top 2, but it still has every other effect, right? So it's just 2 less cards, but it's also a blue pitch. The damage bonus is always +1 across all 3. This is for constructed. For limited. I don't know. Maybe the red one's good too, but I haven't really seen any decks running it. But it's a cool card. Yeah,
it's an interesting one. I just thought I'd mention it because it's similar vibes as Sirens Call, just not as good, but obviously, just thought I'd mention that one as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well.
Anyway,
why don't you mention some more?
Yeah. What's your official?
Oh yes, it is me. Yes.
Official second pick.
My picks from these moment on are all Illusionist cards. I'm going to say so. That's weird for me to say that.
Hey, it's good for the audience. Now we have each person of the crew picking from like a specific class, more or less.
Yeah. But a lot of these cards saw a lot of play in the sort of draft limited environment recently, and I got to cast a lot of it, so that's probably influencing my decision. But then my next pick is a card called Spectral Manifestations, and that is the red version mainly. Just because as an Enigma player, you can, there's a lot of discussion about when to fold your entire board, when to keep it. There's that sort of elegant balance between, managing what auras you've got and which auras are going to be valuable throughout the course of the game and all this. And Spectral Manifestations is one of those cards which is just, you can let your entire board fold on the previous turn and save a load of life and maybe get some benefits if stuff leaves the board. Sometimes there is a few things that do that. But then what you can do with Spectral Manifestations is follow it up with this card, and then immediately you've got another weapon which swings for 4 every single turn, and it costs nothing to swing because it's a Spectral Shield. So I'll read it out the card. It's a 2-cost Illusionist Action, blocks for 2 at red pitch, the yellow and blue versions as well. But this says create a Spectral Shield token. Then if you have no other Illusionist auras, so that's what I was getting at, you let your board die before you play this. You put 3 +1/+1 counters on it at red, 2 at yellow, 1 at blue. But then what you then immediately have is a weapon on board that you don't have to pay to swing back. and the red version gives you a 4. It gives you an Anothos. It gives you a hammer that for free every single turn.
It's better. It has go again too. It's a 4 go again. Yeah,
of course it does. Yeah, exactly. So it has go again as well, which is even more insane. So it's a free iris of reality, basically. So yeah, I think it's very, very good. And one of your main play patterns in Enigma is you want to get those weapons out and you want to protect them as soon as you can, because as soon as you start getting your opponent blocking your weapons that you've established from cards from their hand, that's less cards that they have then to try and clear your board on the crackback. So then you're just in a very, very good. You're in a very good position at that point. So yeah, this is just a great card, really. Saw a lot of it in the draft, in Enigma decks.
Yep, this card's awesome. You
used it, didn't you?
Dude,
you pulled it a few times
at the World Premiere event. I went 7-1 in the Oasis events with Enigma. I only lost like once in that, and this card is cracked. It's so good. It's my pools had like multiples of these and some other cards too that I don't want to mention that Az might talk about later. But this card's what makes this card so good. I mean, the fact that you get your Spectral Shield, you get it with 3+1 counters and go again. I like all versions of this, but it also has go again. Like this, some of the other ones that seem good, you read it and you're like, that seems good. Like a single-minded determination. You're like, oh, this seems good. It doesn't have go again. You can't attack with it immediately. It just sits there and does nothing. I learned that very quickly. I'm like, oh, this card's not that good. Single-minded determination, by the way, is a 3-block Illusionist Aura, 2 cost. So almost the same kind of stats as the other card. But it says, when this enters the arena, if you control no other Illusionist Auras, put 3+1 counters on this. And this has Ward 2. So it essentially attacks for 5. But it itself does not have go again, and it's just an action. So you just play this and your turn's done and you're sad. Whereas Spectral Manifestations, you immediately jam with that 4 attack. That 4 attack Spectral Shield. It's super, super good. Yeah, it's cards. Yeah. If you're playing limited, if you're doing drafts, I would consider this a really, really high pick. If you're going into Enigma. And then also, if you want to do jank shit like me, you can do that and then cash in the 3+1 counters to play a 10,000 Year Reunion. So,
yes, that's another interaction that you can just do. Yeah,
which I did once, and it was awesome. I did. Shout out to my opponent. He might be watching this. I know he listens to our stuff. So, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Nice.
Good pick.
I really like the utility of the blue, just being a good blue and then being just enough to be able to benefit off of Cosmo. It's a really well designed card and actually quite powerful for a rare.
Yeah, it's very good. Good stuff.
Yeah. And then I guess it's to me. Yeah, that would be up to my third pick. Keeping on with the tradition of talking about ninja cards from this set, a card that I've already talked about with my number 2 pick as well. We have Chase the Tail. This card is a card that I enjoy playing quite a bit. I enjoy putting it onto the combat chain, targeting my opponent. So it is I'm just pulling it up here for myself. It's a majestic ninja attack action. It's a 1-cost red that attacks for 4, blocks for 3. So pretty standard.
1 for 4. Like this sucks.
Yeah, maybe like a little bit underrate, especially for a majestic. So this can't be good, right? Hang on, dear listener. So this has combo. When this attacks, if Crouching Tiger was the last attack this combat chain, this gets go again, and the next Crouching Tiger you play this combat chain gets +3. So
yeah,
just
stupid
looking
card.
At its effect,
7 power.
Like, okay. So, yeah. So if you're able to attack with a Crouching Tiger, then attack with this, then attack with another Crouching Tiger, this is a 1 for 7 with
stupid
go again. The thing that makes this that really pushes this over the top for me is the fact that Zen's hero ability searches for this and puts a Crouching Tiger into your hand.
Yeah.
So all you need is it's a single card that creates a Crouching Tiger anywhere, and then an inner chi or a way to transcend.
Anything that gives like +1 to your board for the turn too, like a anything that pumps up all your tigers, or like an Art of War. If you have an Art of War, your previous tiger comes in for 1. This comes in for 5, and then the next tiger comes in for 4. It's stupid.
Crazy.
Yeah.
There was a turn that I was able to do with this where I had just, I forget exactly what happened, but I was able to basically stack a bunch of Crouching Tiger buffs over the course of a turn, and then attack with Chase the Tail, and then attack with a Crouching Tiger. And I had to redo the math a couple of times because I was like, I'm pretty sure that this Crouching Tiger is attacking for 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Like, not only was the Chase the Tail also buffed, but again, probably by Art of War or whatever, but like I was like, yeah, counting up all these buffs, this is attacking for 7 with go again. Yeah, so like this is just, it's a card that just screams in Zen, like play me, search for me, play me. This card is so easy to use. Like it's a pretty like low brain energy strategy. This is the way that I want to put it right now. For you to just be like, okay, I have the ability to activate Zen. I have transcended this turn, so I have a resource floating from my 12-petal Kasaya. Might as well get something that costs 1 and allows me to use this Crouching Tiger that he made for me. It's just it's so efficient. It's really cool, and I love playing 3 of them in the span of 2 turns.
Yeah, yeah,
it's pretty good as well. If you've just got it in your hand as well, right? Chase your tail. If you've got a blue, you can then play. You can attack with your Tiger Taming Kakara, pitching a blue, leaves you with 1 floating. So you attack for 2 with that spear thing, whatever weapon it is, like a pole arm almost. And then that says when this attacks, the next Crouching Tiger you get, gets +1. So then you follow that up with a Chase the Tail, which comes in for 4. And then you play the Crouching Tiger.
You have to do a Crouching Tiger before that, otherwise the Chase the Tail won't have go again.
Yeah, so you'd have to have a Crouching Tiger somewhere in hand as well.
You have to have 2 tigers to do that, basically. 2
tigers. Yeah, so even off of 1 blue, if you've got the tigers there, you can then come in with Chase the Tail and then the tiger for, how much would it be? +4? Because you then attack with the Kakara before that. So, yeah, there's loads of things you can do with it. You don't have to just go search it with a chi, but there's loads of things that you can do with it as well, which I think is just a great card all round, really, isn't it? 7 attack over the cost over the spread of 2 cards, but you just need to have the tigers there. It's nice.
It's I'm just such a big fan. It's a really cool effect, and it's one of those cards that it just works. Like it pulls the deck together. It lets you have. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that pulls the deck together. I don't want to say that this is the only thing that's making Zen playable.
I mean,
but
Art of War is a big one.
Yeah, Art of War is obviously a very big one, but this works so well within the deck with Art of War, with all of the things that create Crouching Tigers, with his hero ability. Just a very, very good, very solid card. But yeah, that'll kick it over to Kel for his 3rd pick.
Yeah, my 3rd pick is a card that we've already talked about. It's a little weenie card that will just kill your opponent and make them cry. We have Bonds of Agony. I was debating between Bonds of Agony and Persuasive Prognosis. They're both like windmill slams in new. Persuasive Prognosis is my spoiler card, so I wanted to talk about something different. So I'm going to talk about Bonds of Agony. Also, I really, really like the art on this card. It's got like this succubus lady with a bunch of hands coming out of weird places and some screaming guy. Yeah. I don't know. I'm into it. So it's a blue card, 0 cost, 1 attack, assassin attack action, blocks for 3. It has stealth. If you've played or activated 3 or more attack reactions this chain link, this gets +3, and when this hits a hero, look at their hand and choose a card, search their hand, deck, and graveyard, and banish up to 3 cards with the same name as the chosen card. Then they shuffle. This card just rips every single copy of a card out of your opponent's hand and graveyard and deck. Like if they're like, oh, this is the card that I need to like win the game, it's tough. Like now it's gone. All copies are gone. Like this is such a sick card. Really, really punishes your opponent for like not blocking properly. Getting the 3 or more attack reactions is really easy because her freaking equipment. Let me go pull it up real quick. The boots and the boots and the nails both do 2 reactions. So Arousing Wave has it's the glove piece. It has an attack reaction for a resource, destroy it, and then create a Fang Strike, which itself is a 0-cost attack reaction that bumps up an attack by 1. But potentially even better are the Undertow Stilettos. Same thing, but it creates a Slither in your hand, which can give Go Again to something. So it's just like you get 2 attack reactions just into those alone, plus whatever other attack reactions you have, like your Mask of Recurring Nightmares or some other cards that we'll talk about. Maybe you have a Siren's Call, maybe you have a Gorgon's Grace, which I think is really underrated. So, yeah.
Turn that thing on, baby.
Bonds of Agony. I've seen Bonds of Agony go from a 1 attack into a 9 attack very, very easily, even up to a 10 attack, like with just like 2 cards. Like this card is nuts, and we'll talk about how you can do that with potentially my next pick. But yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at that. Bonds of Agony does everything I want. This is another one of those cards where it really like encourages your opponent to block a lot, because if they don't block, you're goodbye. Like you're ripping something and every other copy of it from their hand, deck, and graveyard. So yeah, this card's sick.
Yeah, it's one of those cards as well that that rewards you for knowing what cards to choose from your opponent's deck as well. So yeah, if you've got that sort of knowledge to sort of really disrupt your opponent, most of the time you're going to know what sort of cards to target. But depending on the situation and what cards you've seen already go into the graveyard and whatever, it's just got so much potential. That card.
The best is like if they've been like purposefully pitching stuff for a second cycle or something, you just rip them all out. Like you're not getting those again. Like
yeah,
this card's sick.
Yeah,
it's very good. Also, the art is great. I love everything about this card. So, yep, that's my pick. How about you guys? What's your next pick?
Cool. Yeah. So my next one is a card called Astral Etchings. Mainly the red version. So again, another Illusionist card, Illusionist Action. So comes in red, yellow, and blue. Blocks for 3. Illusionist Action costs 1 to play, and again comes in all pitch values. And it says put 3, 2, or 1 counters on target aura with wards you control. But if you control a Spectral Shield, you may play it this turn as though it were an instant. So most of the time, you probably are going to have some sort of Spectral Shields out. But what this allows you to do is give any sort of ward aura go again at instant speed if you control that Spectral Shield, which I think is just insane. It acts as like an attack reaction in an Illusionist, which is just bizarre. So it's very, very good, and it also acts as like a Razor Reflex.
Yeah.
Obviously, it gives something go again at instant speed if you control the thing, which most of the time you will do. But yeah, I just think it's very, very good. Does a lot of different things. Blocks for 3. But it can combat trick people to kill them at the end. It can make something have go again. It can buff something up or create a weapon that has go again at instant speed. So yeah, I just think it's great. So Astral Etchings, mainly in red. But yeah, good card.
Yeah, I think this card is absolutely insane in conjunction with another card that I'm not going to mention because I think the other card is on Az's list. So we'll mention that when the time comes. But this card is like disgusting with another card. So
yeah, there's a couple of good auras out there, isn't there? Which we'll get to.
Getting 3+1 counters on any aura you want is very good.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah,
I agree.
That's a good one.
I will admit though, I when you were talking about Spectral Manifestations, for some reason my brain thought you were talking about this card. I mentioned like, the blue is really good because it puts a counter on thing. That's what was in my mind.
I see.
Yeah, you said rare, and I was like, the card isn't talking about it as a rare, but I'm just gonna be like, whatever.
No, so so Astral Etchings is in fact a rare though.
Yes,
and
it is. Yeah.
That's the one that I was thinking of. Obviously, these effects are really important for Illusionist, for Enigma specifically, and I was very impressed with how Astral Etchings played. I think I only got like a single blue, but it was unfortunately with my deck I didn't end up winning the match that I played, but it was very close, and I think it was basically because of Astral Etchings. So I think the card is quite nice.
I think it's
especially if you've got. I was going to say, if you're building around the spectral shield being your main weapon, so let's say you've got like spectral manifestations that I mentioned earlier, you got things like astral etchings. If you're building towards that game plan of your spectral shields being your weapons,
dude,
this is just going to be crazy.
If you can do so, like, okay, there's a couple things. First of all, I really like the design of this. It's essentially an instant that blocks 3, which is, well, if you know how Flesh and Blood works, instants don't block at all. But this one is essentially an instant that blocks 3, which I think is really good. So I actually think the blue version, like Bill said, is actually like super good because it's a blue block 3, potential instant, potential reaction kind of deal. Like go again. Yeah. But the red version, if you combine that with the Spectral Manifestations that we mentioned before and a single blue card, you get a 7 attack, freaking 7 attack Spectral Shield that's... It's disgusting. So you can go Spectral Manifestations, get your Spectral Shield with 3+1 counters, and then use the other floating resource if you pitch to blue to immediately play Astral Etchings. You will then have the Spectral Shield, so it's an instant, right? So you get the 3+1 counters, so then you can attack for 7 immediately with Go Again. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
It's pretty nasty.
Just insanity.
And they're both like common and rare, so like these are really good draft options. Like if you're doing draft and limited, these are great. I severely underrated Astral Etchings when I played. I ran a couple of them, but I didn't think they were. I was like, it's final, whatever. But no, they're really good. They're really, really good.
It's just a lot of utility, isn't there? There's a lot of lines and sort of opportunities to play this.
In limited, blocking for 3 with Enigma is like really valuable. Most of your stuff doesn't block at all. Like you're gonna end up with a bunch of like instants that have no block, and sometime your opponent's gonna attack you with like a pick to pieces or whatever, and you're just screwed. So yeah, just having 3 block is also really good in limited.
Yeah. Cool.
Good card.
All right. Well, that brings us to round 4. And up to this point, I've talked about these cards that have a lot of variation, and the designs are pretty interesting, and they open up a lot of play patterns. I don't think that this one is necessarily not that, but I do think that it is some of the biggest numbers, if not the biggest numbers, that we've seen on a Flesh and Blood card, which I think is pretty interesting design in and of itself. So next up, I have Cosmic Awakening as my 4th pick.
Big chungus.
So this is big, capital B, 2 G's, big. And it's a majestic mystic action attack. It is a blue that costs 9, attacks for star, and blocks for 3. So this can be played in any of the 3 mystic talented heroes. There are ones that I think would prefer to play this over others, but either way. So what does it do? If 1 chi was pitched to play this, Cosmic Awakening's power is 10. If 2 were pitched to play this, Cosmic Awakening's power is 15. And if 3 or more were pitched to play this, its power is 20. So this is if you have a hand that lines up where you have 3 transcends and this is, you present your entire hand to your opponent for 20.
Yeah, I have seen screenshots and tales of this happening on turn 1 in limited, because in limited you can play any number of the transcend cards and the legendary clause doesn't apply. So you can do like Honor the Ancestors 3 times, gain 3 life, get all the cards back, and then pitch them all to play Cosmic Awakening for 20.
Jeez,
it's like rare, but like I've seen people take pictures that happens. So
it does happen. This card, like even if you the way that I like
15 is a lot.
Yeah. The way that I like to evaluate cards is look at like the middle case, because I think the first case of it, of this attacking for 10, is like something that is quite easy, but not necessarily what you're like looking for. I think that attacking for 15, pitching 2 chi is like the butter zone for this card. Like this is where the card feels like actually pretty good. That's like a really awkward breakpoint for a lot of decks, for most decks, honestly, because with a full hand of 3 blocks, that's only 12. So you're still hitting for damage with this. And then, attacking for 20 is like something that can happen, but you're not necessarily building around that happening. So even with the middle case of this attacking for 15, 15's a big number. I think even 15 is bigger than because what Pulverize I think was the highest attack that we had seen previously, and I think that's 14.
14 is Pulverize, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I like that this is big. The play style that this pulls you towards is punch your opponent in the face as hard as you possibly can.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep. I think.
And yeah.
Oddly enough, I think this card is best in Blitz for two reasons. One, you can have the highest density of Transcend cards in Blitz, right? Because you only have a 40 card deck, but all the Transcend cards are legendary. So in a CC deck, you just have less of them because you have a bigger deck. And then also hitting for 20 is much bigger in Blitz. That's literally presenting lethal attack, unless your opponent's like Valda, right?
Yoji.
Or Yoji, yeah. So it's like
Yogi activates his ability, redirecting to himself.
Yeah. So
yeah,
I like this card. I think it's funny, and I like it specifically like in Blitz or like UPF or something. You know, a 40 card format with 20 life, so you can just be like, eat it, nerd.
That sounds fun.
just 20, just 20 them. As someone who likes to play Berserk and Merit Lodge in Magic the Gathering, I like this card. That's one of my favorite things to do, by the way. I have a commander deck, and sub goal of that deck is to Berserk Merit Lodge, because she only does attacks for 20 in commander. That's not lethal. We got to make that lethal.
Yeah,
we got to make that 40.
Big enough.
Yeah. I also run Triumph of Hordes to give her infect too, so you know. But 21 trample infect is pretty good. Anyway, I like this card. This card's cool. There's also like the creator, the content creator like promo. They gave like cold foil versions of this and a playmat to folks. So
yeah, I have that right here in my pile of nice cards.
I could tell you, I don't know if they're still going for this, but there's like a $400 card, I think.
Yeah, most of the content creator promos are around there, as far as I remember. But I think I've showed this before. This is all of the promos that
just
we have
stacks them
gotten
up
for the channel, just in a stack in my drawer. So there's like all the stuff that we were getting for everything. There's also a Duel Masters card in here that we got from Wizards of the Coast as part of like a Merry Christmas style dealie.
Nice.
Called Enter the Dragon. I don't know anything about Duel Masters, but I have the card.
It is one of the most popular games in Japan. I think it's like the second or third most popular card game in Japan.
And it's very innovative. They have the first, I think, triple faced card. It folds. It's
Force of Will also has that. I don't know which one did it first, but Force of Will also has like a triple faced folded card.
Yeah. It's bizarre.
I have a copy of it. It's weird. Yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff with Duel Masters. I don't want to get too much into it, but they have like $4 starter decks that you can buy that are like actually like tournament competitive. Like, I don't know, it's kind of crazy. It's really good for like getting kids into card games. Anyway, my pick is going to be a card that you should not show to your children unless you're, whatever. I'm not going to tell you how to parent your child. You do you. But this one has a lady on top of a guy, and he's like bleeding to death because she's like murdering him. This is like Just the Nick. And I also love this card. If you couldn't tell, I really love a lot of the cards in the set, and they're all like assassin cards for the most part. So this card's crazy. So this is a 0-drop assassin attack reaction that blocks for 3. It says choose one or both. Target attack action card with 1 or less base attack gets +5, or target attack with stealth gets, when this hits a hero, banish a top card of their deck. So this is one of the big reasons why you want to play with a lot of 1 attacks in new. You can also run this in Uzuri, actually. But Uzuri runs a lot bigger attacks on average. But Just the Nick is like a disgusting card. It really powers up Persuasive Prognosis, which is a 1 attack, as well as Bonds of Agony. And this is the card that can make Bonds of Agony go from a 1 attack into a 10+ attack just in the blink of an eye. Because this gives it base... This gives it +5, and then Bonds of Agony gives an additional +3. So that's a +8 on top of the 1. which turns it into a 9. And then if you did your gloves to get the other 2 attack reactions, then you get another +1 for the slither. So that's a, you know, casual 10 attack for 0. It's pretty good. Yeah. Actually, it'll cost 1 resource because you're cracking your gloves, but everything else costs 0. And then what it does is now it's a 10 attack when it hits. Look at your opposing here, or look at their hand, pick a card, yeet all the copies from their hand, deck, and graveyard, and then also just a nick. We'll also banish the top card of the deck just on top of that as well. So that's a 4 banish, 10 attack, rip hand attack. I don't know. It's disgusting. It's so good. Like just a nick and Bonds of Agony are just like, dude, I love it. And it's easy. It's easy to pull off. You don't need like a bunch of cards. All you need is just Bonds of Agony and just a nick, and then your equipment takes care of the rest. It's very good. And also, you know, you blocks 3 and yada yada. You know, you can also do other stuff to it. It gives a +5 to your Persuasive Prognosis. A lot of decks are running Art of Desire Mind, so you get another +5 to that. You can give a +5 to your Pick to Pieces, so you can destroy all of the Enigma's crap that they've got going on. So Pick to Pieces, by the way, is a 0 stealth, 1 attack. If you played or activated just any attack reaction this chain link, it gets +1, and then damage that would be dealt by this can't be prevented. So if you just a nick onto Pick to Pieces, it gets +6, making it into a 7 attack. And then damage can't be prevented, so it just blows up everything that Enigma has, or Prism. Like it blows up all of their like heralds, anything with ward. So yeah, I'm definitely running a full playset of the blue Pick to Pieces. Yeah. So just a nick, very good.
Just a nick, yeah.
Just a nick turns a little weenie attack into like a guardian thing. Yeah.
My very first thought, as always, is to do dumb things with cards that have big numbers on them. And the first card that came to mind when I saw Just a Nick was Vipox.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can Vipox it. Yeah. When I was building my deck, I was considering Vipox. The Vipox's worst thing it has going for it is it's a red. If it was a blue, God, Vipox would be a slam dunk into new. It'd be so good.
Pretty good though, isn't it?
Yeah. So
yeah, that's the thing. Like whenever I see a you know, one of those Bonds of Agony or Persuasive Prognosis or one of those cards that are coming in for 1, you know, I'm just like, there's no point. You're in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, so because good. If you block it, you know it's going to get through anyway. And if you just don't block it, it's going to hit. Well, that's the thing. As an opponent of one of those cards, when you're being faced with it, you know it's just going to hit you. So you have to make that decision whether you take the damage or not.
Or here's the other thing: if your opponent overblocks by a lot, you're just like, okay, cool. I don't do any reactions at all. No, exactly. No reactions. So, Arsenal card. Yeah. It's good.
You just get to wait for your spot. It's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just great. That's the great thing about Assassin, just putting you in those spots where you just don't know what to do. You just don't have no idea what the best decision is.
I like the trickery.
Whether that's on hit. Yeah.
But I also like it keeps like Assassin can really keep degenerate decks like fair. Like Zen or something. It's just like, I'm not going to let you have 4 cards in your hand. Like either way, you're losing something. You don't get a 4 card hand me. Which I think is great. Keeps everyone on the up and up. So, yeah. It also really punishes people who don't know how to block properly and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely, it does.
So that is my 4th card. Az, what is your 4th card?
4th card is just a great piece that starts in play for Enigma, and it's called Uphold Tradition. So this is just a common piece of equipment for Enigma, which just says Ward 1 on it, cloaked. So as well, you can equip it face down, so your opponent doesn't know that you have it. And as an instant, you can pay 1, turn this face up, put a +1 counter on an aura you control with Ward. And why is that good? Because it gives anything that doesn't have a counter on it go again because of Cosmo.
Just picking all the draft bombs, man.
Yeah, exactly. I'm thinking about it from that sort of perspective, because I just saw a lot of it recently. So I just think it's fantastic. You get a lot of value out of it in those sorts of environments. Yeah, just nice little card.
Yeah, this card's insanely good. I was lucky to have it in both of my pools that I did very well, and it's just absurdly powerful. Once again, just being able to put +1 counters on any of your auras with ward is insanely strong, especially if you get bomb ones. So yeah, it's good, and it's instant speed too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's great.
Exactly. Yeah. So again, you can use it as a trick as well. You could be like, oh yeah, I'm just attacking with this. No, I'm not. I'm going again now, and then you can just do a load of other stuff afterwards. So yeah, it's just.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't want to cut you off on that.
No, I was just say it's just good because you can still play it as a trick. So yeah, it's just good stuff.
Uphold Tradition made me realize why they put Cloaked in the set, and it's so that this card doesn't immediately get blown up the second you take any damage at all. Like being able to have it face down, you get like the sneaky surprise kind of thing. But I think that's less important than just having it not immediately get destroyed because it has ward. So you can you can turn it up and utilize it exactly when you need to use it, which I think is really cool. So I think it's one of the big downsides of all like the previous ward piece, like equipment pieces they had, like that kimono and like that other hat. Like I think if those had cloaked, I think they'd be so much better, because you can choose when you want to, use them. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think we spoke about it in a previous podcast. We were like, okay, maybe if there was something that said, if you were to trigger wards, you may choose not to instead. Yeah. This is basically getting around that by just having the equipment just not exist until you choose for it to exist, which is a good way of getting around that. Because we were messing around with, ward could be good if you could choose when to activate it, etc. And that's exactly what this does. So.
Turns out,
good shout. Good shout on that.
Ward is also good if you just have a crap load of it. If you just everything you have has ward 4 or something, it can be pretty good as well.
Yes, especially if you've already established a board state, you can block with cards from hand, and then you can just continuously swing your auras with go again. It's just a cool deck, and probably the first illusionist that I actually enjoy the play patterns with and how it's designed, because it's not ridiculous. Spectre isn't in there. It doesn't reward you for playing those cards either and delving back into those card pools. It's very much its own thing, which I think is good. So yes, that's that.
I really like the ability to have something that has ward, like you're saying, like with the kimono. The big downside is that it starts in play, but it then is immediately pressured. Like if you're not just fully blocking on turn 1, then you just are down a piece of equipment. So I think this was a really good way to sort of balance that and work around it.
That's why Enigma New Moon is sick, right? Because you can use all those cards and they just all have cloaked. So you could use all those cards that do have ward on it. Which is pretty cool. So that's another card that I don't know whether it's having implications in Blitz, and apparently Blitz doesn't exist anymore. I don't know,
I wouldn't believe social media. They're kind of up their own.
That's right.
Nether regions a lot of the time. I think there are pockets of areas that Blitz is very popular. I know in Japan, at least the last time I was there, Blitz was like the format that everyone plays. Yui was like, make sure you have Blitz decks because that's what Japanese players are playing.
It's like faster games, but yeah, that's why I thought the Enigma New Moon could be pretty sick of all those ward equipments that might just die straight away because you can hide them and maybe get value out of it when you need to, etc. Because what does that kimono even do? Do you remember what it does off the top of your head?
Here, hang on, I'll look it up. But it's the first time each turn. Once per turn, when Celestial Kimono or a non-token permanent you control with ward is destroyed, you gain a resource. So this could add a resource like on either player's turn if you're breaking things like any of the Figment Angels or any of the permanents that we got with Part the Mistveil that have ward. Like it could be a good value engine. But it's the fact that it has ward 1, it again starts in play and is immediately threatened, just kind of makes it suck. But being able to hide it until you're about to have that happen does make it a little bit better. I also know that Diadem of Dream State went up, I think, quite a bit when
it's not saying much. Not saying much. I think the card was like $5 or something.
Yeah, like I think it became like a $20 card with, I think, the cold foils going up to closer to 100 because people because there's like the extended art cold foil and people were really hyped about it. But yeah, having this be like, you know, it's the Diadem of Dreamstate, by the way, is legendary illusionist equipment from Dusk Till Dawn. It's a headpiece. It has ward 2 once per turn. When this or a non-token permanent you control with ward is destroyed, you may pay a resource if you do create a ponder token, which of course is very good. We've seen ponder tokens be extremely good in the past.
Yeah.
And being able to remove some of the card advantage downside that, you know, having your permanents with ward be destroyed, they are kind of gaining you life, but then you lose on board state. So having that mitigated by replacing themselves is still quite good. So I know that people were pretty hyped about that too, because you could hide it until things were about to be destroyed, and then you could pick your spot, like you're kind of saying.
Last time I looked, if you want to play Enigma, she's very cheap. Like just the rainbow foil. She was like $20 last time I looked. It might be less than that now. So
what, New Moon?
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too, which is very positive because I wasn't totally in love with the idea of a legendary or like a mechanically unique hero being gated behind like what seemed to be a very rare drop.
She's Shiana. Yeah, she's basically Shiana.
Yeah.
And Shiana also did the same thing. Like Shiana dropped to like $20 at one point. That's when I bought mine. I got two Shianas when they were like $20. So yeah, if you want this card, probably get it now. It's beautiful.
Yeah, you absolutely should.
You already mentioned Livia Prima once, but dude, here's her art. It's beautiful.
But yeah, rounding it out to round 5, the final one. The last pick that I have, I think, is one that's quite fun and is actually an illusionist card to wrap into the Enigma discussion that we were just having. This one is 10,000 Year Reunion, which is one that Cal has previously mentioned. Oh yeah. I think that this card is extremely cool. So 10,000 Year Reunion is a majestic illusionist action aura that has 3 block. It's a red and it costs 8. And 8 is a pretty big number.
Doesn't really.
Hopefully there's, yeah. I mean, in a set with a bunch of blues, it's maybe not as difficult, but the thing that's very cool about this is that it is actually a little bit easier to play. So the alternate text for it, or the effect that it has, is you may remove 3+1 counters from among auras you control rather than pay this card's resource cost. So you can pay either with 8 resources or with 3+1 counters that you've cultivated over the course of the game. That is to say, there is an additional thing that makes this card very playable, and the fact that it has ward 10.
Yeah.
Yes.
Big number.
Big chungus.
Big number.
So obviously it's multifaceted in Enigma, that you can use this as either a really big chunk of health against, you know, if you play this against a Guardian, it will prevent 10 damage on their big like Terra Sunder turn or something similar. And on the flip side, this works really well with Enigma's weapon Cosmo, in that this becomes a 1-cost attack for 10. And if you're able to put a +1 counter on it with something like Uphold Tradition, then it becomes a 1-cost 11 with Go Again.
I can tell you, I did that. I did literally that, and it's awesome. All you have to do is swing with it once, and your opponent is kind of screwed. If you have anything else going for you, it's disgusting. Because it's 11 Go Again, and it's like pretty easy to get those +3 counters. As already mentioned, 2 of the easiest ways. There's Astral Etchings, and then there's the Spectral Manifestations, both of which put exactly 3 +1 counters on something. And I did this. I did the Spectral Manifestations into 10,000 Year Reunion play, and it was glorious. The only problem is after you play 10,000 Year Reunion, it doesn't have Go Again, so you just have to like protect it with your life. But if you can get it to stick around, whew, it's pretty good.
Yeah. The thing that's a theme for me in this set is I like cards with big numbers. And this is it feels like second to Cosmic Awakening. This is the biggest number.
This card is sweet. Yeah.
I would have really liked it, honestly, if the alternate cost was like a sliding scale, where it's like you could pay for, if this costs like 9, for example, so that it was easily divisible, you could be like, you can reduce this card's cost by 3 by removing a +1 counter from where you control.
Gotcha.
That might make it like that might make it too flexible. It's already very flexible, obviously, but I think that would be a cool mechanic for this type of alternate cost effect that you can pay with either resources or cards on the in the arena. So yeah. Anyway. Big fan of 10,000 Year Reunion. Also, actually, sorry, it does have the biggest number in Part the Mistveil because it says 10,000.
Yes, 10,000.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Cowards didn't even give it Ward 10,000.
Ward 10,000.
Shaking my head.
So they're so afraid of what the illusionists could do.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, so that's my fifth and final pick. Kel, let's move on to you.
All right, we're gonna pick this. My final pick is my only non-assassin card, but it still follows a similar theme. My card is the weakest link. You are the weakest link. So this card, the art is really cool. They're fighting like a big ogre thing. I don't know, but yeah, very cool. It's a 2-drop, 6 attack, 3 block. The magic trifecta for Flesh and Blood. Is this the new Command and Conquer? No, but it's pretty sweet. It says when this hits a hero, look at their hand and choose a card without base defense. If you do, they discard it and you draw a card. Hey, turns out I like cards that attack your opponent's hand. Who would have thought? This card does that. This card is awesome and goes into every assassin deck that I play. You play this in Enigma. In New. You play this in Uzuri. This card's sick. Like I said, at the base level, you gotta look at your opponent's hand, which is just very, very cool for other stuff like Censor. There's really easy ways to give this go again in Assassin these days. But if it hits, my God, it is so good. You rip a card, and then you draw a card. Like, this card is, like, when it hits, it is insane. When it hits, it's like one of the best feelings. Like, yeah, it's like a 3-for-1. This card's bonkers. So yeah, I like it. And also it blocks for 3 for some reason as well. At one point they were like, oh, some of these cards are too strong. We need to make them block for 2. No, now they're just like, screw it. Make them block for 3. But they need cards to compete with Command and Conquer, to be honest. And this does in a weird niche way. So
yeah, I mean, the thing is as well, they're making more of these attacks that do have some sort of gated on hit, but you still get to look at the hand. So what you can do is you can still close the chain with something like this, and I saw it quite a lot recently with, even like in Zen decks and other decks, like closing the chain with a big 2-cost swing, whether that's a Command and Conquer or a weakest link. You're still getting a 6-power attack. You also get to, if it hits, look at the opposing hero's hand, and if you are a top-level player, you get to calculate how much damage they're doing just by looking at their hand. So you're not only looking at their hand, but you're also throwing a big attack, which potentially could rip a card from their hand and replace your bloody arsenal if you draw a card. Which in that metagame as well is pretty good, because there's a lot of cards in there which don't have any base power because of the Transcend and into Rangers like Rain Razors and all that sort of stuff. It could be a pretty good contender for CNCs and what have you.
And if you're like me, you run them all. So I have my full.
There we go.
I don't have my spotlight on, but this is my foil set of Weakest Link in my new deck next to my foil set of Command and Conquer. You just play them all now. And I also have my foil set of Already Deads as well. These are all my two. These are all my 2-for-6s in new. So
just get them while you can.
They're pretty good. And being able to look at your opponent's hand, like I said, is pretty good. Especially if you give it go again and then you follow up with something like also nasty, like Surgical Extraction. Yeah, there's some cool stuff.
I think
is that the new deck there? Is it?
Oh yeah, it's all sleeved up, ready to go. Here's my Marvel hero, and then for my equipment, got my tunic, but more importantly, screw the tunic. Cold foil assassin stuff, cold foil daggers, yada yada yada. Where's my hat? I want to show my hat.
Just for the audience, Kel is going through his cards at the moment. Bit of ASMR.
Yep. Yeah, and so like here's my hat. Anyway, the set's pretty cool, and I kind of like tricked out my deck, including like Japanese extended art foil, like Fang Strikes and Slithers and all that good stuff. So I am ready for the league. I am ready for the league. I'm still tweaking some stuff. Some people run the scrap card, like the 1 for 5 if you banish a thing, but I'm not 100% sold on it.
Scrap.
I'm not 100% sold on it. I kind of like Censor more, but anyway, that's
it's a good card.
That's my little spiel.
I'm a big fan of how the Weakest Link just really feels like preys upon specifically Zen, where Zen doesn't like blocking anyway, and the card that this hits in, like, I think maybe one of the only cards that it hits, but it is still like the best case scenario. Art of War.
Give me your Art of War.
Not only like if they like try to block it and you have the ability to like pummel the Weakest Link, because you can. They're like, okay, well, I need to keep this Art of War. I can still do some stuff. I have some stuff in my arsenal. It's like, okay, no, steal your Art of War and I draw a card. Like, okay,
yeah, that's good.
Like that's got to feel atrocious.
It's pretty sweet. Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any other attack reactions that can pump it up that I'm personally running. I think most of them do Assassin or Mystic, though. Yeah, all the ones in my deck do Assassin or Mystic, except for the Transcend card. Like, just gives like +1. That one, but anyway, yeah, good card.
But yeah, anyway, that'll bring us to the final card of the day. Az's 5th pick. What do you got for us?
I think this is pretty much a standard pick for Illusionist. It's Manifestation of Miragai, or Miragai, however you want to pronounce it. What I found funny when I was listening to the Fresh and Buds thing with you on it, I think I tagged you in it, but whenever you said Miragai, it came up as Mirror Guy.
Mirror Guy.
in the transcript, Mirror Guy. Oh no, it's Mirror Guy. There he is, standing there in the mirror. But yeah, this is a great card. Mystic Illusionist instant aura, so it costs 3 blue pitch, and it enters the arena with 2+1 counters. If a chi was pitched to play this instead, and it is the arena with 4+1 counters, and the ward on this is X, where X is number of +1 counters on it. So if you just play it for its generic 2 counters, it's just a ward 4, which is
it's a ward 2, but it attacks for 4.
Ward 2, but yeah, that's it. So the weapon that you're swinging is for 4, but if you manage to pitch a chi to it, which a lot of people do, that's what a lot of people search with Traverse the Universe, as we discussed earlier. That's the thing that they've potentially got most of the time that they're going to follow up with. You know, when they're blocking with their Traverse, they're getting their chi out of their Enigma. You know they're going to follow up with Manifestation most of the time, and then you have to contend with a 8 power weapon, which is swinging in at you every single turn. So it just becomes a game of, right, I need to try and get rid of this. But then as soon as the game becomes, I need to get rid of this, the Enigma's like, right, I need to protect this. And then suddenly you're in that mini game where you have to try and leak some damage through to try and kill this. But then the Enigma still has the agency over you, where they can choose not to kill this. They can choose one of their other wards that they've established. So that when you get into that game, when you're trying to use your cards to try and kill something that they've established, it's just quite difficult to get out of. So
Miragai is absolutely disgusting in many formats. I got this in limited and I did not lose. I mean, I went 7-1, so I only lost one game anyway. I was gonna say I didn't lose a single time that this came out, and that is also true. This card is cracked. So like, even if you get just the 2+1 counters, having attack for 4 is fine. But the fact that you can do Uphold Tradition to put an additional +1 counter on it at instant speed to bump that attack into 6, going from 4 to 6, is like wild. And so remember how Bill was like, he likes attacking for 10, he likes big numbers. You know what's bigger than 10? 14. You know how you do 14? All you have to do is you have your Manifestations of Mirror Guy, and then you pick one of the other cards that as play. Let me go find it again. Throw it up on screen. Astral Etchings to put 3 more +1 counters on it. So it has 7 +1 counters on it, so it attacks for double. So it attacks for 14. With just Mirror Guy and Astral Etchings is a 14 go again. Like, it's pretty good.
Disgusting.
Mirror Guy is...
That's off of 1 resource as well, because you just pay 1 to attack for whatever this Mirror Guy is.
And if you want to go all in, you can put your gloves in and you attack for 16. Like, like,
why not? Yeah,
it's very good. I never got it that high when I was playing it. I've only gotten this up to just 3 counters, so just attacking for 6. But just attacking for 6 every single turn is like
enough.
Really good. That's like having a freaking demon on your team. It's like having like Blasmafet or the what's the other one?
Ursa.
Eclipse. Yeah, Ursa. Because Ursa had go again sometimes. Yeah, it's like having Ursa on your team. Like,
yeah, that's crazy comparison. Yeah. You got a demon constantly.
You just get a
which you could have 3 of in your deck, by the way. Yeah, I got 3 Ursas in my deck. Brilliant.
And it's like that's like you just pitch it with a regular blue. You get your 2 +1 counters, and I just turned my gloves up at instant speed. To it's disgusting. God. Like, if
dome you for $1 billion.
We talked about draft a few times, but like seriously, if you open this card, you take this card and you win. That's how it goes. You just take Manifestation of Mirror Guy, and then you win because it is disgusting.
Yeah, but yeah, good card. Obviously, everybody knows that it's a great card by now. MST seems like a long time ago, as we've discussed already. There's also another honourable mention that I have in the Ranger Equipment Arms, the long draw half glove. I thought I'd mention that as well before we sort of close it off. That was a nice piece of equipment that Ranger got access to in this set. And even more Ranger cards came out recently with the Azalea Armory deck as well, which I've already done a video on, my thoughts on that. But yeah, so yeah, pretty good list all around, I think.
Yeah, I guess I can toss in one honorable mention, but it's really 2 cards. The 3 for 7s, Blanche, which has gorgeous artwork by Mark Poole.
Yeah.
And then Battlefront Bastion. Both of those cards in Limited are like, just like good, honest flesh and blood that kills your opponent. One of the other like little events that I played, and I think I went 3-1 in that event, I had a Zen deck. And I had like no good Zen cards, but I had 3 red Battlefront Bastions and 1 red Blanche. I just had 4 3 for 7s, and it would just be like, attack with my weapon, attack with a tiger, 3 for 7. And my opponent, I remember the last round, my opponent was the Japanese player, and I was like 3 for 7, and he was like, like it was really fun.
That's funny.
Not just saying that because I won with the 3 for 7s. So yeah, shout out to those cards. They're really good. And then also the emissaries are also really good. I had a couple of those as well. The 0 for 4s. Just good old honest flesh and blood. 3 for 7s, 0 for 4s. These are all great and limited. Super good.
Absolutely.
I think my favorite one's probably the Tides in limited. It's you can tuck a card to give it +2, so it's a 0 for 6 if you have a crap card in your hand. The go again is fine, and the draw card is fine. But in Limited, I really liked the extra damage. So,
yeah, the great thing about the emissaries as well is that obviously you're card filtering as well. So if you've got like blues in your hand, you want to try and filter it away for for red cards at a certain point in the game or whatever. You can do that, which I think is also a good effect. What was you going to say, Bill?
I was just going to say the other cards that I want to my honorable mention, since you guys have had honorable mentions. Is going to go to Levels of Enlightenment, which is another like this card is just people like it. I don't the reason that I want to call it out isn't because for power level reasons, although the card is very powerful.
It's also very expensive right now.
Yeah, extremely expensive. The extended art is like one of the most expensive cards in the set. The main reason I wanted to talk about it specifically is because I really like the sort of callbacks that they've been doing with cards, and I think this one is a really clean example of it. Because obviously we have a bunch of the they're almost like side grades. They're more like references to Command and Conquer with like commanding performance, I think, and a bunch of other cards that have like command in the name.
Yeah.
And they're usually interacting with an arsenal in some way, most of the time destroying it. And Levels of Enlightenment, of course, is just the 3 modes of Enlightened Strike. You just get more of them as you pitch more blue cards. I think that's really cool. It's a type of, I actually said this to James White in our interview, that I really like that they sort of have this almost like this this way to describe cards in a way that is referential to people who already know the game. It's like, oh, this is an enlightenment card, so it has +2, draw a card, go again in some capacity. It does those things. So yeah, I just wanted to highlight that one as a cool card design that also happens to be insanely strong.
Yep, I run a full playset of both of this card and E-Strike in my new deck because they're both really good. Yeah. Turns
out blue 1 for 5 draw a card, go again. Pretty good.
Yeah, especially when like half your deck is blue cards, and yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's just like a, 1 for 3 draw a card, go again, or just a 1 for 5 draw a card, or 1 for 5 go again. Like if you can get at least 2 of these, it's like really good. I think if you get all 3 of them, it's like cracked.
Yeah, really, any combination of these effects is just good. Just very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, I think that will that'll wrap that up. We can move to the Arsenal step if anybody has anything they'd like to bring up.
Yeah, I can mention one thing. It's not super long. I mentioned it last week or the week before, but I've kept up with it. So yeah, I've started to get back into drawing. And so I set aside a little bit of time every single day to draw. I want to say 10 minutes, but I kind of get into it, and sometimes it goes up to like an hour or so. And so I'm on day 9. So today's day 9. I can show you day 8, which was I drew a character from Side Game Stuff. She's like one of my favorite characters. Let's pull it up because it was Shadowverse Evolve's 1-year anniversary. So here's my Forte. You can kind of see her.
Oh, nice.
She's cool.
Oh yeah.
So I'm still kind of like getting into it. Did the armor and stuff. So anyway.
Yeah, I really like her armor.
So yeah, I've just been keeping up with it. I actually used my Forte figure as a reference for this, so I didn't use another piece of art. I actually just used my figure that I have in the background. So that's what I've been doing, trying to get. I don't know if I want to say get better at art, but just kind of like practice and get to the point where I feel, comfortable drawing, and yeah. So long story short, some people have seen it and like, well, like this is not the first time you've drawn, and I was like, well, I used to draw a lot about 20 years ago, like in middle school into high school, and it's one of those things where I was like, I've always thought like, if I kept at it, I might have actually become like a good artist, but I never did. So I'm just drawing a little bit every day, and yeah.
Yeah, well, if you're doing it every single day, that's going to increase your skill level tenfold. Well, not even tenfold. That's just a word of expression. But have you got a comparison with what your first one was? Because if you've done 7 days of it,
there's a kind of like a somber anime girl. Yeah. So the day 1 wasn't really. So I just did it with marker. So here's like my day 1. Day 2, I did a couple different sketches. So like these are like I did like chibi style, and then more of like just a regular anime style. Day 3, I did more of what I'm doing now, but it's still a lot smaller because I didn't have my sketchbook yet, and it's just kind of like that.
Yeah, a lot of details increasing each time, though. Even there, from those examples, the details getting better and better each time, sort of thing.
Yep, I'm putting a little bit more effort into it, which just takes more time. And like like my Forte one, I think she looks pretty good. I think digital art would be a lot easier. It would help me fix things like the eyes, because I think the eyes are just slightly off. And I was like, well, I don't want to erase the eye again because it took me like 10 minutes erasing the eyes to get them to look okay. Other stuff like body proportions, arms, that kind of stuff comes pretty easy to me. But like, I went to adjust the eyes and color them in, and I kind of messed it up, so I had to redo it a bunch of times. So yeah,
Stuff.
I'm gonna keep doing it for 100 days. I think I want to fill this art book up. So we're on day 9. I'm gonna draw something a little bit later. Gonna bring my sketchbook to Anime Expo and probably try to draw something. Not at the con, but like maybe afterwards, like in my hotel or something. But so yeah, that's what I've been doing.
Nice.
Outside of card games and whatnot.
Hell yeah.
Cool. What you got, Bill?
How about
Anything?
you, Az? Oh. No, nothing really for me. I guess I can kind of say something that is interesting. I was kind of telling you guys at the beginning, but the spike feeders got recognized, and as a result, are now sponsored by a local burrito place, which I thought was pretty cool.
That's awesome. I love that.
We've been putting in like catering orders, because on our filming days, which are a full day usually, we of course buy people lunch for like craft services and whatever. Previously we were going out and actually like buying full lunches, but that got to be pretty expensive, so we were like, well, we can get more food, it's less variety and less personalized, but we can get more food if we do like catering. So we we put in an order at a local burrito place called Burrito Splendido, shout out. And the people there recognized our email and were like, hey, we like your stuff, and we would like to, like, it started out with them like comping our first one, just saying like, we'd like to just give you this order for free because we like what you do. And then after talking with them a little bit more, they're now like an official sponsor, and I think that's really cool. It's maybe the coolest thing that's happened in the Spike Feeders history. Where we got recognized locally and now get some free food for a shout out.
Great stuff. Good job.
I mean, that's the content creator dream, right?
It really is. Sponsored burritos. Let's go.
I would take a burrito sponsorship in like a heartbeat. Like if there's a local like burger plate chain called Killer Burger here that is like banging, dude. If either of you guys ever visited, we go to Killer Burger. It's within walking distance and it's great. There's also a really good ramen place called Umami, which is also great, but they're expensive. But if Killer Burger was like, oh, we'd like to sponsor your videos, I'd be like, hell yeah, dude, let's go.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, the only other thing I've got is actually card game related, so I might as well just throw it on the end here. But that's the League That Means Nothing Season 2 is starting again soon. So Kel's joining us this time round as well.
Yep.
And you're going to be playing new, is that right?
Yep. Going to be playing either literally the deck that I showed you, or I don't know, 6 cards different. I'm still not 100% on a couple of them, but yeah, basically that deck.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, so it's pretty good. We've got a few people that we mutually know in there. So we've got Jay from Zen State Fab. He's actually playing Vincent. So there's actually another, since Jay joined, another player has actually joined and is actually playing Vincent as well. So we actually have 2 Vincents in this particular league at the moment. Then we've got, obviously, yourself, Cal. We've also got Roger Bodie, who's playing Bolton. So we've got some decent players in here as well.
Hey.
So from the Manor podcast. So if we match into him, we're in the shit, basically.
Nah, we can hang.
We can hang. I've obviously got a couple of the Spanish people as well from Fabratorium. We've got Dead Summer Art, who's in there as well. Hank from Goblin Reserve. Ian from Right Time Gaming. And then also Lynette as well, the New Zealand cosplayer. So a couple of people that we mutually know on the podcast and friends of the podcast have joined in on it, as well as other folks that want to play on webcam. It's bigger than last league. It's double the size of what it was before already, and that's just after a day of saying it's now open for registration. So that's cool. And obviously the casters as well are going to be the Irish fellas that you know, Bill. Ian Holland.
Yeah.
Find Our Spirit.
He mentioned. Yeah. He's very good. He's gonna give you a lot of trouble. But and yeah, shout out Ian, good guy. But the thing I was gonna say is I don't mean to alarm you but I think this league might start to mean something. So just
yeah.
No, just stick your head in the sand.
That means something.
League that means nothing still means nothing.
Exactly. So but I'm just glad I can sort of bring people together to play some CC with no stakes. Obviously, people just want to enjoy this game and play it in a competitive setting because there's a league involved. But ultimately, it does mean nothing. It's just for fun. But it means something to somebody, as you just mentioned. There, it's a good little tagline actually. That I might steal.
I haven't played.
It's more profound than just nothingness, isn't it? It's more profound than that. But there we go.
The league that means something. You can just call it the league that means something. Maybe, probably. The league that probably means something.
Something.
Yeah.
This is actually going to be my first time playing new at all. I didn't play her a single time at the world premiere event. I played mostly Enigma, and then I played like one event as Zen, but it was kind of Zen, but like I said, it was just like a bunch of 3-for-7s and 0-for-4s with the Zen stuff kind of like tacked on. That did very well. But since then I haven't played any Flesh and Blood at all. So it's been a little while. So this will give me a good reason to just kind of play.
And I don't want to hang on it too much because obviously we've been talking for a while, but I just love this this stuff that I've culminated because again I've said it many times before. I didn't know what I was really going to do as a consistent thing on the channel like at the start of this year, but this is really sort of picked that up again. But yeah, the interesting thing about this as well is that people just play heroes that they want to play most of the time because I know there's not much really at stake. So the meta of this league is very, very varied. Of course, there's going to be a few favourites. Like there's 3 news because people want to play new, including yourself. I mean, 3 azaleas.
Even if she was terrible, I'd be playing new. Like there's no way that I wasn't going to play the new assassin waifu. There's 0% chance I wasn't going to play that. So yeah.
But we got some. You've met Pascal, haven't you? Swiss guy.
We hung out with Pascal a lot. At a couple events, at the First Worlds, was he at a different event too? I think he was. I think he might have been at like the Pro Tour that I went to.
I think he was. Yeah, I think it was a Pro Tour or something or other, which you were at.
I did.
But he's playing Betsy.
Yeah. Sure.
He's playing Betsy. Like, why not?
Sure. He's a Guardian player. Yeah.
Yeah. So. But yeah, that's what's going on in outside of Flesh and Blood. Although I have downloaded just to add more randomness to this podcast, I have downloaded a game called Xenoblade Chronicles. Have any of you played that?
Oh,
yep.
I haven't played it personally, but I'm aware of it.
I have played Xenoblade Chronicles X on the Wii U actually. And I know there's a Xenoblade 3 that came out like last year or the year before or something like that. Have not played that one. Yes. Thought about it, but just never had enough time to like pick it up.
Yeah, so I just downloaded that for Switch because the definitive edition's on there, and apparently it's just very, very good. The original Xenoblade Chronicles was on the Wii, but yeah, it's on Switch now. But apparently it's a very, very good RPG, sort of Japan anime style one.
It's like
which has a huge sort of open world,
robots, alien monsters. Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah, glowing swords and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I like Xenoblade X. It was pretty fun. I don't know if I ever beat it, but I spent like a lot of time in it. Oh, speaking of which, I can quickly. I'm not going to go into this too long because I mentioned it last week, but I did beat Shadow of the Erd Tree. It is very, very good. It is probably one of my favorite expansions ever made. I really liked. This is a very like common answer, but the Witcher 3 expansions were also like amazing. Like Blood and Wine was like I think this is like gameplay wise better. but holy hell, dude, the final boss is so fucking hard. Like, I didn't die to him. I didn't die to him. Maybe he killed me like maybe 20 times or so. I've seen people like say take many hours. 20 times for me is a lot. I had to after he kicked my ass like 5 times in a row. I didn't even take him down to half health. I completely respect. Went back to an old favorite, which was just strength dex build. Used my Bloodhound Blade that also had bleed. And after that, and then I also did the trick. Don't summon the NPCs. I was summoning the NPCs. I got 2 NPCs. Not gonna say who they are, but I got 2 NPCs at the end to summon, and I was under the impression that in order to get their outfits and armor and weapons, that I had to summon them for the final boss, and then they like had to live. That's what I thought. Turns out that is not the case, and they make him so much harder. 1, they suck and don't do anything, and 2, they give him each 25% additional health. So they give him, if you summon both, they give him 50% additional health. And he is literally he's the hardest FromSoft boss they have ever made, and it's not even close. Like, not even. He's bullshit for some of it. He's actually just like bullshit. So I ended up beating him, but like. Don't summon the NPCs. They actually make it harder. So, and I will say, if anyone's listening to this and you're playing it, you still get the NPCs' outfits. So I did not summon them, and I still got their outfits afterwards. Their corpses are on the final battlefield. You just go loot them. They were just there. So do that, and it was so much easier. Like the first time I did, I'm just like, fuck it. Let's just see how easy it is without the summons. And then I hit the boss in like a little tiny chunk, but it's like 3 times as big as normal, and I'm like, ooh. Oh, this might be doable. Like, I'm not hitting them like a wet noodle now. And I'm like level like 214 or something. So anyway, it was good. The final boss, bullshit, but
nicely done.
But good. I don't want to get into I won't get into Howie's bullshit, but it's the same. I've seen some really good memes. Maybe I'll post them. Like, there's a good meme that's like Dark Souls, and it's like got Artorias swinging a sword and the character's dodge rolling out of it, and it's like how you dodge in Dark Souls, dodge roll. How you dodge in Elden Ring, and it's just got like Millennia like doing 1 billion attacks and the character's dodge rolling like 1 million times. It's like that on crack because he does that, but then every attack has like a shockwave afterwards that also does damage. And he can do like this like. He does like anime shit where he just like flash, like instant speed flashes at you, and like if you don't block it, you just die. Like, I don't know, he's kind of bullshit. So anyway, have fun with that, everyone. Yo. But I did enjoy it, and it's always very bittersweet when you finish a FromSoft thing, and I'm like, is there anything else? And then I go and look it up, and I'm like, nope, I did all the bosses. I didn't miss anything, so I got nothing else to do now. Guess I'm done.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So
nice.
It's good. But yeah. Anyway, I think that'll just about wrap us up. So let's go around in order and I guess de-introduce ourselves. I've been Bill from the Spike Feeders. You can find me on social media at BillTSF. You can also find me on YouTube at the Spike Feeders Fab, where we do live edited gameplay content. I believe the 3rd video of the Goliath Gauntlet featuring Zen is coming out this week. I could be wrong about that. We have an every other week schedule. But I believe it should be. We might have released the 2nd one last week, so we might still be another week out. But make sure to go check those out because they are quite entertaining. If I do say so myself. I mean, I'm in them, so I'm a little bit biased, but no,
they're good.
But I appreciate that. Thank you. And speaking of that, who are you, and where can people find you?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't know who I am anymore. Apparently we're all the same. Look at us, we're in black tops, wearing glasses of long hair. We're all the same.
Sounds about right.
My hair, oddly enough, is the shortest among everyone by a large margin, which it used to not be. It used to be quite long.
Yeah, that's kind of the first time that's happened, I think. But yeah, mine's becoming a mop.
Yeah,
mine's grown.
So I remember when I first met you, Bill, you had quite short hair because you used to wear caps a lot, didn't you?
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yeah. I'll just
Yeah, it just goes to show how long we've actually known each other now. All of us. It's pretty crazy, isn't it?
It's been a long time.
My head is like too fat to wear hats. My head is just so big. So like.
Yeah, same.
I have a partnership with Dragon Shield, and they sent me like a hat, and so I have like a Dragon Shield hat, but it does not fit my big dumb head. Like it's too small.
What, a cap or like a
baseball hat?
Cap, is it, or is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But sorry, yeah. So I do know who I am. My name's Az from Go Again Gaming. So that's the YouTube channel, Go Again Gaming, and then on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it these days, it's Go Again Gaming AZ. That's pretty much where I am these days, as well as on this wonderful podcast with these people.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, one of those people is Kel as well.
Hello. My name is Kel, also known as Red Zone Rogue. Yeah, I'm going to be at Anime Expo. So if you're watching this, Anime Expo is like the day after. I'm going to be at Anime Expo. I'm going to be there from the 5th and the 6th, maybe a little bit on the 4th. I'm going to be at the Bushi Road booth, which I think is specifically E35 in the Entertainment Hall, because I'm one of the official Shadowverse Evolve English Edition ambassadors now. Woo! So I will be there in official capacity. I'm going to be jamming some Shadowverse. I'm going to be bringing 3 or 4 of my favorite decks. I'm also going to be kind of like filming a vlog. I'm going to check out some of the artists. So some of my favorite artists and friends are going to be there that have their own booths. So shout out to Gule, who's a good friend of mine, and I'm going to go check out his booth. And Alan Erie, her booth is going to be there. She's also a good friend. So there's all that stuff. I'm really excited to go check out the Side Games booth and all that kind of stuff. So if you're going to be at AX and you're for some reason listening to this like the day before, hey, I'm going to be there for at least 2 days, the 5th and the 6th, and I'm probably going to be leaving on the 7th. And then other than that, you can find my content on Red Zone Rogue, a video that is coming out like before this video. If you're into multiplayer stuff, I highly recommend you check this out, even though it's not Flesh and Blood. This is the Shadowverse Evolve Glory Finder box set. Has 4 pre-constructed decks. If you're to put this in Flesh and Blood terms, this is round the table if they also reprinted CNC and E-Strikes in all the decks. It's really good. So, yep, 4
it's
decks.
Like a board game.
Yeah, it's like legit. It's a really good product. So I have my exclusive. It's not out yet. I got to open this up as one of the ambassadors, and my video will be out. It should be out already. But by the time this video is out, it should be out already.
Cool.
This is like $100 for like 4 banger decks with like actual good reprints. So recommended, more than recommended. So yeah, check that out. That's all I have to say.
Nice.
Excellent. All right. Well, once again, that'll do it for us for this week. So thank you, everybody, for listening to us chat about Part the Mistveil. Much after the fact, but hopefully the wait was worth it. Stay well, stay safe, and we'll catch you all next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh my God, that's so much louder. That's so much louder than everything else. I'm leaving that in. Everyone at the end is like, what the fuck?